I play Pikachu in defense position.
Voices.
Yeah, let me just quickly play Pikachu in attack position. Hello and welcome, my TCG Leafs. This is a Digimon card. It is physical and, well, should it be digital? This is Digimon, so Digimon and digital would be a no-brainer, but for some reason the Digimon TCG doesn't get any official digital version like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Has, for example. But should all TCGs be digital only? That is the question we're asking. Let's have a look at the pros and cons of it. So, what are the pros of physical TCGs? Of course, it's nice to touch a card. It's nice to collect them in binders. I don't have my binders here right now, but well, it's nice to open these packs. All that is a great thing. And it is a good feeling to sit opposite to someone and play with them. You can talk while doing that. You need to talk anyway. You can touch each other if you want to. You can go further, like Netflix and chill if you want to, but that doesn't have anything to do with a card game anymore. Those are all obviously good points about them being physical. But are these points really saying anything good about it? Because there are certain problems you have with physical card games. And those problems can be fixed easily with them being digital only. For example, you have card restrictions where you can not play certain cards anymore because they are too overpowered or don't fit into the current card game meta anymore or stuff like that. However, with a digital only card game, you could easily take a card and change it a bit. Of course, you should not change the effects of a card too much. It should still be the card it is. But you can change stuff that goes for the restriction, makes the card restricted, and change that so it's still a viable card. And someone who likes that card can still play that card. Mostly. And that's a pro of a digital only card game. What are the cons of them though? Are there really cons to the physical cards? And yes, there are plenty, honestly. Like, you need to cut down a lot of trees for these. Yes, I am guilty myself. I collect these. I love having these. I love opening the packs. Though, opening packs still works digital. Sure, you don't pull them out and look at them and yeah, cool, but the digital image is still a nice way to look at it. And let's face it, loot boxes in games are popular, even though they are very controversial, but people like loot boxes in games still. Personally, my stance on loot boxes is that I do like them if I don't have to pay real money for them. For a digital TCG though, I would pay real money to buy a booster pack just like I buy a physical one because I get a certain worth out of it. And if you combine this with a market where you can trade or sell cards you don't need, that would be great. But like shooters like Overwatch and stuff don't do that. You get a duplicate of a skin. Yeah, bad luck, you wasted your money. But if you would make the digital only TCG come with such a marketplace, that problem would be solved. And you always get your money's worth. And that's a good thing. Does that work with physical cards as well? Yeah, of course it does. You can resell them. And then you need to pay shipping, maybe. And yeah, you need to be in close range to trade with someone. A problem solved with digital. So, the thing is, I love physical card games. They are nice. I love touching the cards. Especially the Digimon cards are so high quality. It's like, yeah. And I would miss that feeling in a way Sure. But thinking especially about the environment and the way you can play the game, being, and that's the biggest pro you have for digital versions of these games, and especially with digital only, you can play with everyone. The problem is, if we say, okay, Digimon gets a digital version of the game, that's cool. Yeah, there are unofficial versions. Keep in mind, not gonna post those. You can look them up. The problem with that is, though, even with an official version, you buy these cards physically and you don't have them in the game. If it was digital only and you would buy all your cards digitally, you would only have all your cards in that same place. And that would be great, because that's your collection. That is it. You save on room because you don't need binders. The deck building is a lot easier as well in digital versions on top of that, due to, yeah, you basically being able to sort out cards more easily by just a few clicks with this little device here. And everything just would be so much easier. And it's a bit hard for me to say, and I bet a lot of people wouldn't wanna face this, but I think the future of TCGs is digital. I know with video games, there's a whole debate about physical versus digital. I think it depends on the game. Like a Mario Kart works much better digitally for me because you can just start and play and be good. While a big RPG, I would still buy physical, especially if I want collector's editions and stuff. And yeah, sure, you wouldn't have the displays anymore and stuff like that with digital only card games, but do you really need the displays? You know? And you could always say, like, okay, we are digital only, but here and there we'll make like a special edition of physical cards so that you can still have those, even though they are more of a collector's item in that case. But if you're thinking purely about playing, which is technically the purpose of TCGs, I say technically because there are a lot of people who only collect the cards and don't play. I sadly rarely play as well, simply because I can only play against my wife, as I have no one in my vicinity that I could play with, and that is exactly the thing. If this was digital only and I would have bought all these cards digitally, and you can do that just like you do physically. You can have starter packs, you can have booster packs, you can maybe even do some deals like a booster pack costs €5, but if you buy 10, it only costs you 45. You get one for free or something. You can do all these things. You can make sales. You can make old cards viable. You can make so many changes that are just so great that I honestly would prefer TCGs to be digital only. Even though, and I'm there with you, who will probably criticize this idea in general, I am there with you that the touch of cards and like holding them in your hand like this to play them, it's a nice feel, and I love this feel. But if the world would open up to me officially, right? This is mostly in regards to Digimon, because with Yu-Gi-Oh! I can do that. Of course, I just don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! If that would open up the world to me, I think that just outweighs the good things about physical cards. So, yeah. Is digital only perfect? Surely not. You're missing out on some things. However, I think the good points of digital card games are far outweighing the bad points. You can do so many things. If you add something like a new feature where you have something like a deck commander, I think Magic the Gathering does that. Often old cards don't go with that feature, but you can make them go with that feature that way, because you just need to change a bit of the card to make them viable for that. And yeah, as you can already see, my biggest point is making old cards viable. especially in the Pokemon TCG, old cards are so weak. Remember when there was like Charizard with 100 HP and that was crazy? Some of these cards have like a million HP right now, and yeah, you can easily just change these numbers for old cards. Give the old cards more HP, more attack strength, then they would work with the new cards as well. And everybody would profit from that. And that is the thing. I think that is where we need to be digital only instead of having, yeah, the option of digital and the option of physical. Because the problem is, if you have a physical card game, you cannot digitally change the cards. Then that would make them different games. So I have this Strabimon card here, but in the digital version, this card would work differently. And that would be confusing for players who play both. But having digital only, you might want to say, well, if you have the option, you can choose. And that's better. Do you really have the option? There will be a lot of players who will be confused because they play both. And that's just what a lot of people would probably do. Play both. I guess a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players do play digitally and physically. And suddenly, if some cards change in the digital version, there would just be a lot of confusion there for physical players. And we can destroy that confusion by simply not doing physical anymore. Of course, I don't know how that would affect sales. But honestly, I think card manufacturers, well, the ones who actually do the paper cards here, they probably wouldn't like that. But like in this case, Bandai or Konami for, is it Wizards of the Coast? Who does Pokemon? Who does Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm not completely sure who does them now. It was Wizards for Pokemon once. Is it still it? Oh well, doesn't matter. But they can, like, of course they have to pay servers, but they don't have the production costs of the cards. So even from that standpoint, they would probably like the idea of digital only, right? They could even make the cards cheaper if they are cheaper in production. They probably won't make them cheaper, let's be honest here, but they could. That could be a possibility, just saying. So, all in all, tell me your thoughts on it. Would you like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, whatever there is out there, all these card games, Vanguard, for example, as well, would you like them to be digital only? I am sure you would like a digital version of the physical one, but with my points given, especially the change of older cards, so to make them viable, that is my main driving point here. Would you also prefer them to be digital, or would you want them to be physical still, because they are so nice when you touch them? Yeah. Tell me all that in the comments below and leave a like and a subscribe. I would appreciate that. You can even subscribe by playing a card in defense mode. I hope to see you next time as well. Bye. Oh, and check out this video. That's a pretty good one.